I've talked about a lot of franchises on this channel. Most of them started off strong but failed due to stupid decisions by studio executives or creators. And sometimes the franchise just fails because the audience have no interest in the franchise anymore. But there was a franchise that was showing a lot of promise for a major studio, and its debut was pretty strong and surpassed all expectations, and that franchise is The Secret Life of Pets. It started off on the red paw with the first film, becoming a massive success as well as an audience pleaser, being one of Illumination's better received movies. But then the second movie came out and flopped hard as well as getting destroyed by its audience as well as critics. And since then the franchise has been dormant with no plans to bring the franchise back. But why did one of Illumination's most bankable IPs completely disappear into obscurity and never received a comeback in any way? Well, let's talk about how The Secret Life of Pets died by Arrogance. The Secret Life of Pets came to be because of an idea Illumination CEO Chris Meledandri had, who wondered what pets do when their owners leave for the day. He took that idea and put a brand new animated feature into development which became The Secret Life of Pets. The first trailer released in 2015 and blew up online. People loved the idea and the characters had recognizable attributes and features to real-life pets. So much so it made people nostalgic and attached to the idea because of their relationship with their own pets. In summer 2016, The Secret Life of Pets was released, and while everybody knew it was going to be a success, it surprised even the people at Illumination how profitable it became. In a sea plagued with blockbusters and big animated films from Disney and DreamWorks, it made over $800 million against a $75 million budget. After that, The Secret Life of Pets became a prominent franchise for Universal, so much so it became as big of a merchandise seller as the Minions. With all this success, a sequel was inevitable. And in 2019 The Secret Life of Pets 2 was released. However, unlike the first film, there wasn't a lot of anticipation for it. The film massively underperformed compared to the first film, making only over $400 million against a $80 million budget, which is still not bad. Any movie would kill to make $400 million. But when your box office intake has dropped in half of what the predecessor made, especially when it's from almost $1 billion to half of that, it's not a sign of a strong, healthy lifespan for your franchise, especially when the reviews were less kind than they were for the original. And after that the franchise was dead and has remained dormant ever since the release of the sequel's release, with only vague rumors about a third film in the works, but no actual confirmation from Illumination or Universal. While Sing is getting a third movie and Minions is obviously prime for a third considering how successful the first two were and the possibility of another Despicable Me movie as well as all the Mario-related projects, it's safe to say The Secret Life of Pets is over and done for now. So why did one of Illumination's biggest IPs fall off so hard and become dormant? Well, there's a few reasons why. The timing of the release of the second movie was terrible. It was released in the time period of the year's biggest blockbusters and anticipated films. Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man Far From Home were dominating. But it was also released right before Toy Story 4, which is ironic since the first film was criticized for being a carbon copy of Toy Story, and the fact that Illumination decided to release The Secret Life of Pets 2 a few weeks before Toy Story 4 release tells me it was intentional on their part. Like, our film can still do great even if Pixar comes out with their film just days later, and that's what I mean by Arrogance killed this franchise. They thought just because their previous films made so much money, even billions regardless of what movie they were competing against at the time, that The Secret Life of Pets 2 would have been a massive success even if it was incredibly close to the release of a major IP like Toy Story, that they put the future of their franchise in jeopardy. And I think we all know which movie ended up being more successful at the box office. Because of their swelled heads and inflated egos, they didn't think anything bad was going to happen, and the film and the franchise suffered because of it. Another thing is, while the first film was successful and liked, it wasn't loved. Like a lot of other Illumination movies, people at best found it enjoyable and cute, but at worst they found it uninspired and bland, and because of that, they never became attached to this franchise or these characters, so a new adventure starring them didn't spring up any excitement or anticipation in them. Instead, they either lapped it off as an unnecessary sequel or just brushed it off as a "I'll get around to watching it eventually" thing, instead of a "I got to go see it as soon as possible" thing. And because of that, not a lot of people were interested in seeing it, which meant less people came out to go see it, and the people that did see it didn't have good things to say about it, which pushed the apathetic response to this movie even further and diminished its ticket sales even more. There was also a bunch of controversy surrounding the first film's star Louis C.K. and how he wasn't coming back and the main character was going to be voiced by Patton Oswalt in the sequel, but I don't think that really factored into the failure of the movie. If they had been smarter about the release date and instead of releasing it directly before a certain billion-dollar film in Toy Story 4, they should have picked a time like September or even November. It probably would '10T have made as much as the first, but it could have at least made close to it, like maybe $650 million. After all, Sing 2 didn't make the amount the first film made, but it was still considered a success even if it made $200 million less. So I think a box office gross of $650 million or even $700 million would have been enough for Illumination to feel confident to greenlight a third film. But with the way the sequel performed, that did not happen. Overall, guys, The Secret Life of Pets was a victim of arrogant and greedy studio executives that thought their film was invincible to criticism and public preference. They thought that people would go see their film despite the fact they were in a week of major releases. Just like Stuart Little, they chose to put it up against Titan hits such as Avengers Endgame and Toy Story 4, and because of that the film flopped hard, and all of it could have been avoided if they had not been so egotistical and actually thought about the proper time to release it. It probably would '10T have been a massive success like the first, but it could have been close. But because they decided to just trust that the film would perform great regardless of what month it was in, it led to the film dying upon arrival and disappearing just as quickly. Seriously, as soon as this film was released, nobody cared and barely anybody even talked about it. Thoughts how little of an impact this sequel made on its debut. And just like Stuart Little and every other movie victimized by this stupid mentality executives have, this is a fine example of how to not release a film. Not every animated film is Toy Story, and not every release is Avengers or Star Wars. There are films that need to be released at a certain time, otherwise they don't have a chance to be successful. And even if it has positive reactions, to the average moviegoer who can barely afford rent, that's not enough. You got to put it out at a time when people are more likely to be interested in it. It may not get everybody intrigued, but you're more likely to attract a sizable amount of people than not. But when you release it against films like these, you don't got a chance. And that is how The Secret Life of Pets died by arrogance. And for right now, it seems like the franchise is not coming back. At least for the foreseeable future. Even if I'm not a fan of this franchise, it's sad when any franchise fails and falls into obscurity, especially when it's due to dumb decisions that could have easily been avoided by studio heads. They may not have been the only reason the franchise fell, but they are a big part of it and why the franchise is dead and dormant. Maybe one day, we'll get The Secret Life of Pets 3, but I don't see it happening right now. Anyways guys, what do you think? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you guys later.